interesting verses today, a lot of action. Okay, we are live. Now let me pull up the verses. It's Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 54, verses 6 through 12. Okay. Okay, so verse 10, 54, 6. Desham tadvikramam vida gada sankarshanadaya amrishayamana narachar Gnur Haya Gajan Ratan. Translation by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. The heroes of the Lord's army, headed by Gada and Sankarshan, could not tolerate the aggression of the opposing kings. Thus, with iron arrows, they began to strike down the enemy's horses, elephants, and chariots. Next verse, translation. The heads of soldiers fighting on chariots, horses, and elephants fell to the ground by the millions. Some heads wore earrings and helmets, other turbans. Verse 8, translation and purport. Lying all around were thighs, legs, and fingerless hands, along with hands clutching swords, clubs, and bows, and also the heads of horses, donkeys, elephants, camels, wild asses, and humans. Report. Karabha indicates the portion of the hand from the wrist to the base of the fingers. The same word may also indicate an elephant's trunk, and thus, in this verse, the implication is that the thighs lying on the battlefield resembled the trunks of elephants. Verse 9. Seeing their armies being struck down by the Vrishnis, who were eager for victory, the kings headed by Jarasandha were discouraged and left the battlefield. Hare Krishna Jai. Verse 10. The kings approached Shishupal, who was disturbed like a man who has lost his wife. His complexion was drained of color, his enthusiasm was gone, and his face appeared dried up. The king spoke to him as follows. Although Shishupal had not married Rukmini, he passionately considered her his property, and thus he was devastated like a man who has lost his beloved wife. So if we lust for what belongs to Krishna, we're going to be devastated, just like Shishupal. Text 11, translation. Jarasandha said, listen, Shishupal, or Tiger-Moon man, give up your depression. After all, embodied beings' happiness and unhappiness is never seen to be permanent, O king. Text 12, translation. Just as a puppet in the form of a woman dances by the desire of the puppeteer, so this world, controlled by the Supreme Lord, struggles in both happiness and misery. Purport. By the will of the Supreme Lord, living beings are awarded the proper results of their own activities. One who understands the absolute truth surrenders to the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and is no longer considered to be within the material system of existence. Since those endeavoring within the material system or world are necessarily trying to exploit the creation of God, they must be subjected to reactions, which are perceived by the conditioned souls as miserable and joyful. In fact, the entire material way of life is a fiasco when seen from the perspective of absolute bliss. Stop and sharing. Krishnadaya Prabhu, are you ready for invocation on the bus?
ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप तथा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेव श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निधि नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Thank you, Krishnadaya Prabhu. Thank you for transporting us into the spiritual realm. Okay, would anyone like to share, maybe reflect briefly on what we just read on the Bhagavatam? I'd like to reflect quickly. I was listening to Radhanath Swami's class in the morning, and Maharaj was explaining how in the material world, we just read that in the material world, both pleasure and pain, it's a fiasco. Either way you go, it's a fiasco in the material world without Krishna. But in spiritual world or with Krishna, pain is also pleasure. Pain is bliss, and love and separation is an example of that. Damodar Priya shared the link with us, Radhanath Swami's class on separation. So I was listening to that. So with Krishna, pleasure or pain, it's all bliss. Without Krishna, either way you go, it's a fiasco. Okay. Would anyone like to share anything before we go to Prabhupada? I see something in the chat. Jarasandha talking deep philosophy, consoling Shishupal. Yeah, they were consoling Jarasandha in the same manner when he got defeated by Krishna. They said, it's your karma. Don't take it personal. It's just something that you did 40 lifetimes ago. No big deal. It's your karma. Don't worry. Krishnadaya?
In fact, Jarasandha used the word, it's the Supreme Lord, so by his will. And then Supreme Lord, he's fighting with Supreme Lord, snatching his property. so ignorant people.
Yes. He doesn't see the forest for the trees. He knows that everything belongs to Krishna, but he fails to recognize who Krishna is. And he's lusty for what belongs to Krishna. Okay. Any further contributions? We have heads with headphones, heads with helmets, turbans, headphones. Okay, let's go to Prabhupada then. I'm gonna share the video. Okay.
I don't know if it's just me, but I can't hear anything.
We can't hear anything.
It's the verse. Maybe you'll get better when Prabhupada starts speaking.
But we can't even see the video or anything like that.
Okay, let's see. So nothing has changed. Let me open it on YouTube. Can you hear it now?
No.
Okay, I can send the link to the chat, and maybe someone who is by the computer can stream it. Okay, the link is in the chat. Who can share? On Zoom, you go to share and then website URL, and then paste that there. That should share it. Or you can open it on YouTube and share your screen. Anyone available to do it?
I'm logging into my laptop right now to try.
Thank you, Damodar Priya. Okay, any realizations, reflections while Damodar Priya is starting the stream?
Can you send it to the chat again? Because it
Okay.
chat for me, please.
It's a small thing, but I was reflecting at first thing that was on the heads. Talked about the rolling of the heads, which of course was the ego. And I thought that was particularly wonderful that first all these egos were left on the battlefield and everything else was gone. And that's true of us. We have to leave the ego like that. We've got to let that go. So I was just reflecting on that in the order of which things unplayed in this battle.
Thank you, Jamunajaya.
Following is a class on the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 8th chapter, text number 43, given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, recorded on October 23rd, 1974, in Mayapur, India.
Translation. O Krishna, O friend of Arjuna, O chief amongst the descendants of Vrishni, you are the destroyer of those political parties which are disturbing elements on this earth. Your prowess never deteriorates. You are the proprietor of the transcendental abode, and you descend to relieve the distresses of the cows, the brahmanas, and the devotees. You possess all mystic powers, and you are the preceptor of the entire universe. You are the Almighty God, and I offer you my respectful obeisances.
Sri Krishna Krishna Sakha Vishni Rishabha Avani Dhruv Rajan Vamsadhana Napavarga Virja Govinda Godvija Surati Hara Avatara Yogeshwara Akhila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. So, Kunti Devi, first of all, she prayed that my attraction for my family, two different families, Pandu and Vishni. Pandu family, the husband's family, and Vishni family, the father's family. So woman has got attachment for both the families. She wanted to get relief from this attachment. This is called Annavilasita Sunnam. So long we have got family attachment, we shall be disturbed by so many material desires. But bhakti begins when all material desires are finished. Therefore, a guru's definition is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Tasmat gurum prapaddeta jigyashu shreya uttamam shabde parecha nishnatam brahmani upasamasrayam. Upasamasrayam. Upasam means fully satiated, no more any desire. Shamin kitatosmi barang na jati. Now the Durga Puja is going on. This is also recommended in the Vedic Shastra that those who want material opulence means riches and good wife. For this purpose, Shastra recommends that you can worship Durga. There are different purposes and different demigod worships are recommended. But at the conclusion, it is said that akamas sarvakamo va moksha kama udaradhi tibrena bhakti yogena jajeta paramam purush. There are three kinds of men. Akama. Akama means one who has no desire. Desire there is not material desire. Desire you cannot kill. Desire must be there. We have to simply transfer the quality of the desire. Instead of desiring material opulence, we have to desire the favor of Krishna. That is spiritual. So, akama means devotees. They do not want anything from Krishna. That is bhakta. Bhaktas, they are simply satisfied by serving Krishna. They are therefore called akama. No desire, no material desire. A bhakta feels ashamed to ask from Krishna for his material comforts. Just like Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, when he was offered by Nrsimhadev, now you ask from me whatever you want. So Prahlad Maharaj became surprised. He said, my dear sir, I am not a mercantile man. We are in the modes of passion and you are offering me all kinds of benediction. I can ask you, but do you mean to say that I served you in expectation of some return? No, don't induce me in this way. This is Shuddha Bhakta. Shuddha Bhakta never gives trouble to Krishna for his personal benefit. They are called akama. And sarvakama means karmis, ordinary. They are working hard to get some result, good result for sense gratification. They are called sarvakama. And there is no limit of their desires. Just like this Durga Puja, they will want dhanang dehi, rupang dehi, rupapati bhajjang dehi, jaso dehi, this dehi, that dehi. There is no limit. How much they are asking. Therefore, they are called sarvakama. You go on supplying economy, you will never be satisfied. More. You go to so many businessmen, they have got crores and lakhs, but if you want to talk something about Krishna, they have no time. Please take your money contribution, let us do business. Because their karma is never satisfied. Therefore, sarva kama. And another is moksha kama. Moksha kama means when they could not fulfill all the desires in this material world, they at that time want to become one with God. But if I become God, then my all desires will be fulfilled. That is called moksha kama. So, Shastra recommends that either you belong to the group of akama, or to the group of sarvakama, or to the group of moksha kama. Tibrena bhakti yogena jajeta paramam purush. You worship very seriously paramam purush. Param purush means Krishna. Bhakti yogena. Krishna cannot be worshipped by any other yoga system except Bhakti Yoga. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya Mama Vijanati. If you want to know Krishna, it is not possible to any other means. There are many other means, karma, yoga, jnana and bhakti. But if you want to know Krishna, then you have to take the bhakti yoga. Neither. Krishna never said that by jnana, by cultivation of knowledge, one can understand me. They can do so, that is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita. By cultivation of knowledge, after many, many births, if that person searching out the absolute truth by cultivation of knowledge, if he comes in contact with a devotee, then he gets the chance of understanding what is Krishna. Understanding Krishna is not so easy job. Krishna says, Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschid jatati siddhai jatatam api siddhyanam kaschid vetimam tattva. It is not so easy. But any person, either in karma yoga or jnana yoga or dhyana yoga or hatha yoga, if he comes in contact with a devotee, bhakta yogi, then he can understand Krishna. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, ei rupe brahmana bhramite kono bhagyavan jeev, Guru Krishna kripa paye bhaktilata bij. Bhaktilata bij, that is not very easily available. But it is available, Guru Krishna Kripa. Because Krishna is situated in everyone's heart. If you are actually eager to understand Krishna, then Krishna can understand that this living entity is trying to understand. So he gives a guru. He gives his Chaitya Guru. He is Guru himself within one's heart and gives intelligence. Buddhi yogam dadamitam jena mam upajantite. To a sincere person, he gives the intelligence that you accept this Guru. Guru is therefore external manifestation of Krishna. Because he acts as representative of Krishna. So what is the qualification of that Guru? Tasmat Gurum Prabhaddeta. He must go and surrender to Guru. In the Vedas also it is said, Tasmat Gurum Prabhaddeta. They say, Jigyasu Sreya Uttamam. For whom Guru is required, not for all. But tad vijnanatham sa guru meva vivacchit. One should go to Guru to understand tad vijnan. Tad vijnan means transcendental science. They require Guru. Similarly in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Tasmat Gurum Prapaddeta. You should go and search out a Guru and surrender unto him. Why? Jigyasu se uttamam. If you are Jigyasu, athata brahma jigyasa, Vedanta Sutta. If you are actually searching after the absolute truth. So, the next question will be, then whom shall I select Guru? Now, Shabde Parecha Nishnatam. Guru means one who is fully conversant in Vedic knowledge. Shabde Pare. Sabda Brahma. Veda is known as Sabda Brahma. In the material world, all these books are material sound vibration. But Vedic knowledge is transcendental sound vibration. Hare Krishna is transcendental sound vibration. Narottam Das Thakur says, Golokera Premodhana Harinam Sankirtana. This Harinam Sankirtan is not a cinema song. No. It is Golokera Premodhana. This sound is coming just like we catch sound in the radios and television. Similarly, you can catch sound also which is transmitted from Goloka Vrindavan. But you must have the particular machine to catch it. Then you can get message from Goloka Vrindavan. Goloka namni nija dham nitale tatasad devi mahisa haridhamusu teshu teshu tete prabhava nichaya bhida sajena govindamadi purusam tamang vajami. There are different planetary systems, spiritual world and material world. In the spiritual world, the topmost planet is called Goloka Vrindavan. So Goloka Namni Nijadhamni, that is Krishna's own abode. Jadgatyana nivartanti tadhamam paramam mama. It is said in the Bhagavatam. There is information. If you go to my dhama, my planet, then you don't come back again. Mangi partha vipasya. These things are all mentioned. So here Kunti Devi says that, please help me in cutting my affection with my family. Sneho pasad imam chindi. Please cut up. Please help me cutting this family connection. Then Kunti says that Toime ananna visayam moti madhupate asakit. So, this Krishna consciousness movement means to cut up family connection and enter into Krishna's family. Not void. We are not impersonalist or voidist. The Mayavadi philosopher, they are impersonalist. They think Krishna is person. Krishna's activities are all personal. So this is also Maya. Because they are Nirbisheshvadi, their ultimate goal is Nirbishesh Brahma. So anything personal they cannot accept. And the Buddhist philosophy is to zero, Shunyavad, Nirbishesha Shunyavad. The whole world is now corrupted with these two kinds of philosophies, Nirbishesha Shunyavad, impersonalism and voidism. But Vaishnava philosophy is not voidism, not impersonalism. Vaishnava philosophy means to know the absolute truth as person. Impersonal realization of the absolute truth is partial knowledge. It is not complete. Because the absolute truth is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Vigraha means form. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti Shabdati. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the absolute truth is described, tatta, vadanti tat tatta.
Nanda Bihari Prabhu, are we stopping here or do
Yes,
you want me?
I was just about to suggest that we stop there.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nirvishesha and Shunyavadi, that's Srila Prabhupada's mission, to deal with those deviating philosophies of voidism and impersonalism. That's what Srila Prabhupada came to save us from. Jai Srila Prabhupada. We feel protected. Okay, would anyone like to share and reflect on what has been said by Prabhupada? Unmute yourself. Mike.
Good morning, Hare Krishna, everybody. This gives me a very, very good opportunity after listening to this to finally thank two people in this group, Adi Purusha and Bhima. There was not too long ago, where like 2 or 3 months ago, I had just gotten this account canceled of mine, and I logged on to this session, and Adi Purusha told the story about the monkey with the sweet in the jar, that the monkey puts his hand in the jar, and that he can release himself by letting go of the sweet. And I feel like today, with Prabhupada talking about Kunti and cutting the affection for her family, and knowing that if you take your hand out of that jar, no matter whether it's pain or pleasure that comes to you, and you give up and you surrender to Krishna, everything's going to be okay, but you've got to take your hand out of the damn jar. And last week, Bhima had said, what did he say? He said, you might have one plan, but Krishna has another, and it just helps reinforce that, you can either get lost in this material world and continue to suffer from it, or you have to act in it, but you act in it with Krishna in your mind, Krishna in your heart, and the suffering reduces greatly. So I wanted to thank Adi Purusha, Bhima. You're wonderful. Thank you so much for making this class really desirable for me to come to each morning. That's it. Namaste.
Thank you, Mike Prabhu. Yeah, we should stop embracing the cactus. Stop embracing the cactus. Okay. Any other testimonies on embracing cacti? Doing other things? Milking the goat, Bhima Prabhu? Yeah, when we hear Queen Kunti in the verse, or a horse, and Bhima Prabhu will be right there to comment.
Well, the material world is much like a horse. By the way, can I be heard? I'm out at the barn.
Yeah.
Okay. The material world is much like a horse. We can't, usually it goes, it's going to walk right beside you if you're heading in a particular direction, and you've got a halter on and a lead. And one thing that you always have to be careful of when walking with a horse is that it can get spooked at any time and trample you. So you have to walk with a gravity of understanding that this can happen if a bag blows across the field. I was once trampled just because a bag blew across the field. And the secret to this is the same thing as the secret as from detachment from the Griyamedi type of mentality, which is at arm's length. You have to keep the horse on a lead, but you always have to be aware. And though you are leading, as in you're leading your family, or you're being with your family, it's not so much you keep it at arm's length, but that you realize that you are here as a protector, as a leader, and that these things will happen. There will be, all of a sudden, there'll be, trials, tribulations, challenges, very scary things that happen to us, and that we should be ready for it. And by virtue of maintaining this healthy distance, this rising above, when you're walking with a horse, you at least give the horse 3 to 4 feet of distance, so that when they do spook, they don't spook on top of you. They don't run you over. You're ready to step out of the way at any time. But you just have to remember that happiness and distress, these plans that are Krishna's plans, especially with devotees. I've always noticed that devotees are very much, Krishna takes into his own hands the instructions. They had it's sort of like John Lennon's instant karma. That when we deviate, when we go by the wayside, especially when we commit Vaishnav aparad, when we begin to have doubts, we should at least be humble enough to observe what the reaction is to our actions, because Krishna will immediately rectify us. And in that rectification, we are reminded of Krishna, number one, and we are reminded that Krishna really cares about us like a good father who will correct his child if the child is doing something wrong or putting themselves in spiritual danger. So I just like to say that because you brought up horses and Queen Kunti. Queen Kunti didn't want to just abandon her children, but she said, I just want to always remember you, Krishna, and not be fearful about what it is that you have planned for my family. Because if we could take any good lesson, it's what Krishna put the Pandavas through. There's no one that can say they've been through something worse than what the Pandavas been through. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vinod Prabhu. Yeah, do what you need to do. Remember Krishna and be detached from the fruit. You'll be all right. What's the difference, dear devotees? This is an open question. What's the difference between genuine detachment and neglect or harshness towards those who are in our life for whatever reason? How do we healthily detach ourselves? How do we do it in a mature way? Jeffrey?
Morning, Hare Krishna. I was just thinking that the neglect aspect comes when you are detached and you do not respond. It's not a matter of being detached to the point where you don't respond or you have no input. It's detached in terms of how you internalize your response to any kind of external input. Not that you just shut down completely. That'd be insane. So I think that we have to respond to external input appropriately, but the way we internalize that external input and dwell on it or desires because of it is a different story, and that's really where the detachment comes in. It's not detachment to the point of inaction. That's the difference.
Yeah, thank you, Jeffrey Eckler Prabhu. Wonderful point. Detachment is not a lack of response. What's that verse? He who lights no fire. What's that? Adipusha Prabhu knows that verse.
A real sannyasi is not one who lights no fire and performs no work. We think renunciation might mean just neglect, but renunciation, genuine renunciation, means to do things properly. Just like it says here that material life is a fiasco, and the Mayavadis say, give up the ego, don't do anything, don't desire anything, and try to make himself into a rock or a stone or a dumb post. But we are giving up our family attachment, which is to a limited and temporary way of benefiting others, to take on the whole family of Krishna. It's an expanded and appropriate way to express love. We have the conch shell blowing.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for participating, testifying, for giving attention to Krishna so sincerely. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.
Tam Samhasitam Purasundaranam Mandar Pako Kamaniya Vishesha Govindam Haripurusham Aham Vajami Govindam Haripurusham Aham Vajami Govindam Haripurusham Yasya Saklam Yavedumati Asyan Pan Kayanti Ram Anantachimaya Sadhu Kala Vigrahasya Govindam Shani Govindam Haripurusham Tamaha Shani Govindam Haripurusham.
Thank you, Adipusha Prabhu Das, for facilitating the darshan. Thanks, everyone. Whether we are with our family or sometimes we may have to set some boundaries here and there. But if we're doing it as an offering to the Lord, if our prayer is to remember Krishna and do everything as an offering to Him, we'll be all right. So we're wishing you a wonderful week. Give it to Krishna. Don't be discouraged. Get out of karma. Jump into Krishna's arms. Kartik says, thank you all for the wonderful class and reflections. Thank you, Kartik. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Damodar Priya. She says in the chat, Hare Krishna and good morning. Thank you, Nanda Bihari Prabhu, for leading this class and welcoming Srila Prabhupada to speak in class. Yeah, it's so nice to hear Srila Prabhupada's voice. It's great to hear his voice. Yeah. I have to leave early for work, Damodar Priya says. My big takeaway is getting that higher taste. We can be with our families and loved ones with Krishna in the center, serving them as devotees of the Lord, helping them grow in their Krishna consciousness. Yeah, we shouldn't forget our function. We are agents of Krishna in everyone's life. Okay, Bhima Prabhu, you want to be the finisher today? Everybody's glorifying you. What's the matter?
Yeah, what is the matter? Apparently, illusion still exists in this class. I'm only speaking from a beat down. Go there, you'll get beat down. I just got beat down, so that's the I can say that I've done the wrong thing, but the one thing that I've learned in regards to as being a family man, so to speak, is that. By the way, am I broken up or can I be heard?
You can be heard.
Okay, very quickly. Detachment reminds me of Tarzan swinging across the jungle. He has to let go of one vine, but simultaneously in the other arm, he's gripped another vine to swing onward. If we were to take the material world as a jungle, he has let go of one vine. Now, if Tarzan's Jane, and I believe maybe they even had a little kid or something, but his family wants to be with him, they will also swing onto that same vine right behind him. When that vine swings back, we don't abandon our loved ones because we love them, but we show them this is the path out. This grab, hold on tight, follow me. So that's true detachment, is meaning that you're detaching from the old vine that's not getting you out of the material world, and you're grabbing the next vine that will swing you closer to Krishna. And that your family, your loved ones, because we must not forget love in this, because if you can have everything going for you, but if you don't have love, you got nothing. Your loved ones will follow you. And if you must, you hang out on a branch until they catch up. But that's what that's what love is. It's a commitment to make sure that your family follows you and you do whatever's necessary, including put yourself in danger. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, beautiful. Thank you for balancing it all out so nicely. Thank you. Okay, Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, we love you. We need your association on a daily basis. Come again tomorrow. It's nice seeing you, Venetia. Nice scarf. Very nice.